Welcome to the Friends Fantasy Benefits Baseball Podcast. I'm Justin Mason, lead fantasy writer and analyst at friendsfantasybenefits.com. Joining me on this episode is Dave McDonald. Dave, it feels like I haven't talked to you in forever.
Well, I mean, before like an hour ago, you hadn't, so I understand that.
Yeah, but for those of you listening live, you'll get this right after. We're already getting people joining back in. We went so long in the news, I just figured I'm going to break it up into multiple episodes. But we have a ton to talk about. We're just going to jump right into it. The discussion topic is going to that we're going to start off with here is talking about biggest surprises at each position so far this year. I listed every single position, and we're going to kind of just discuss what our biggest surprises is so far in the year. And there's some really interesting names on this list that I'm really excited to kind of dig into with you. Why don't we start at catcher? And I'll start. Cal Raleigh's batting average and stolen bases. I mean, really just Cal Raleigh's season. We knew he had power, so
Right.
I guess it shouldn't be too surprising that he's like pretty much crushing every ball that comes over the plate. He's got 26 home runs already at this point in the season, which is insane. He's obviously not going to keep up with his pace. Right. But the bigger thing for me is he's hitting 272 and he has stolen 7 bases already this season. Only one caught stealing. Is this a new Cal Raleigh, or is he just getting absolutely lucky right now?
I mean, maybe a little column A, a little column B. I would say, we knew that he had 40 homer power-ish, I think, coming in. I mean, he had 30 in 570 plate appearances in 2023. He had 34 and 628 plate appearances in 2024. And I think you could see 40 as a potential outcome. It seems to me, and I could be wrong, I'm not an expert on this, but that their park might be playing a little bit less like a pitcher's park this year. It seems that way to me. So maybe that's accounting for some of it. But obviously, we didn't have him down for a 60 home run pace. What's funny is the bat actually hasn't projected for another 26 homers the rest of the way. So they basically think he's going to hit 52 home runs this year, which is unreal. The average is at 272, but the XBA is at 255. He's still striking out a good amount. He's hitting the crap out of the ball, but obviously, the BABIP is a little high. It's 280, which doesn't sound high, but his career BABIP is 257. I think we can probably expect him to have I think he'll probably end closer to 250, probably in that range, maybe 260 at the highest, I would say. But still, I mean, it's going to be a monster season. And yeah, the 7 steals, he had 6 last year with the new rules. Maybe he just kind of got more comfortable with it this year because he really didn't run before last year. So I think it's just the new rules. He's feeling like he can take an extra bag here and there, and it's working out for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's been absolutely insane. I do agree with your analysis, though. I think the batting average will come back down to earth. Maybe not back down to the 220 that he had last year.
Yeah, but if he's not hitting 220, he's still a monster.
Yeah.
240 even, 235, that's still great.
And, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I like these kind of guys who can tend to be, batting average drains a little bit, because all they need is, a little bit of luck, a little bit of improvement, and you can actually, blow up. J-Mart just left the game. J-Mart, who might?
Justin Martinez is my guess.
Oh no!
Because they are playing. It's the 9th inning. So those of you who can pick up guys, go grab Shelby Miller right now, I guess.
Yeah, I think I have Shelby Miller still in a couple leagues, so that could
be a good thing. We were I don't have any leagues in any big leagues that I need saves in, but we were talking about Shelby Miller as a good pickup.
Yeah. So
if you need a spec.
Yep, time to go grab Shelby Miller if that injury is going to be anything serious. But yeah, I mean, Raleigh's going to end up just he's already kind of made you your money. Obviously you don't want to lose him for the rest of the season or everything like that. But even if he let's say he hits 10 more home runs, That's still 36 bombs.
Dude, he could not do a single other thing the rest of the damn year. This is still a better season than 80% of catchers, at least. I mean, 26 homers, 7 steals, a 272 average, 44 runs, 53 RBI. It's just what an incredible run. Like, holy shit.
Let's say he ends up with 41 home runs and
Okay.
like 90 RBIs and let's say a 240 batting average.
How's he going to end up at only 90 RBI?
Well,
all right.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah, okay, let's say 100 and 110 RBIs, all right?
Yeah.
Where's he getting drafted next year?
We had this discussion, actually. I still think – I don't think that people are going to buy into him as a first or second round player, even if he hits 50 homers with the.
I think he's at least a second. I think he's for sure a second round player if he hits 50.
I don't.
Catcher.
I hear you, but people aren't just going to. Okay, we're talking about high stakes players, right? We're not talking about like your.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna look underneath the hood, and we're gonna see that you still got a 27.5% K rate. We're gonna know that there's gonna be regression. I don't think people are gonna buy into him in the first 2 rounds. I do think he'd be a 3rd round pick. I don't think first 2 rounds. That's just my personal opinion. I definitely don't think he's going in the first round. I would bet a lot of money that he's not going in the first.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, he might go in first in a league.
He might go. I'm sure he'll go in some second rounds. I don't think that's where his ADP is going to be. I think his ADP is going to be like early to mid 3rd. I could be wrong. We'll see.
I think a lot of it'll depend too on like the depth of the pool. Like right now, the catching pool is pretty good, but if the catching pool were to fall off, I think people might push him up in the second round.
It's possible. I mean, I was just trying to think like where did William Contreras end up going?
He was going in the second round.
24.50. Wow. Oh man.
That's what I mean. Like like you're talking about.
I feel like no. Yeah, they probably will. It'll probably be late second round. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I was gonna say like I think people are buying into the average more with Contreras, but it's not gonna. I think it will. 50 homers, like whatever.
I think it would be a mistake.
Him
there. Yeah. Absolutely. Like I wouldn't draft him in the second round, but I think he will go in the second round if he.
Yeah. I think
especially if he hits like 45 plus bombs. Yeah, I think he's going in the second round.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
What about you? What is the most surprising thing at catcher for you this year?
I mean, it's definitely Yainer Diaz with the complete average dropout. Like, and granted, you look at under the hood and it all looks pretty good. I mean, like the barrel rate is up from last year. The hard hit rate is like 4% lower, maybe. The EV's up. The contact rate is up. The zone contact rate is up. His XBA is 282.
Yeah.
His BABIP
just getting unlucky.
His BABIP is 259. I mean, it's 50 points below his average. I think in another 2 months, if he's still hitting under 270, 260, then it's a different conversation. But I think this is mostly just bad luck.
Yeah, I think that's all it is. And I think we're gonna talk about. I probably should have read the entire rundown before we started, but we're gonna talk about probably where we're at in terms of NFBC leagues. And when I talk about my main event league, it's stuff like this is why my main event league has started out so slow. Is I've got guys like Yainer Diaz like on my team, like that have just started off slow, and now I'm digging my way back out of the hole, and hopefully I've got enough time to get myself completely out of this.
You have time still. I mean, maybe not to win the overall, but you've got time to salvage your year.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not winning the overall, but like I think I can still fight my way back up. So Adley's another one, right? But again, you look under the hood on Adley, the numbers are fine. Like I think he's going to be fine, right? You look at the under the numbers or the underlying numbers on Sal Perez, everything looks fine. I think he's going to be fine. Like I think all those guys are going to end up being good, and this is why like I do think the catching pool is going to be another strong year this year. So especially with some of the breakouts we've had at the position. I think we're gonna look back on 2025 and be like, oh wow, catching was really, really good this year.
I think that could definitely be the case.
What about first base for you? What's been the most surprising thing there?
Oh, for me, well, yeah, I agreed with yours, but the secondary one that I found was Josh Naylor having 9 steals already. Like, that's crazy. I did not see that coming. I mean, he can run a little bit. Like he had 10 steals in 2023. He had 6 steals last year. I mean, it just must be a philosophical thing with the Diamondbacks. Like they must just be encouraging guys to run. He's only gotten caught twice out of 11 times, which when you look at his body type, it's kind of shocking. His speed score is 5 on Fangraphs, which is relatively high, especially for a first baseman, and especially for a dude of his size. So I didn't see the steals coming at all. I mean, he's got more steals than homers. He's got 7 homers and 9 steals. I was very concerned about his power going to that park because is it Chase Field? Is that what their field's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Chase plays I think it's the worst in baseball for left-handed power. So in terms of home runs, for home run park factor. So it was a big reason I stayed away from him and his cost. I thought he'd be solid. I thought his average would be good, which his average is very good this year, 283. But yeah, his fantasy value is getting really pulled up by those steals.
It is 24th in baseball for right-handed power.
Left-handed power. He's a lefty.
Sorry, left-handed power.
Well, last year, anyway, so the rolling 3 years before this year was 30th.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, but still, it's a pretty big drop-off from leaving Cleveland to go into Arizona. And one of the reasons why I didn't draft him very much either. Stolen bases have become kind of come out of nowhere, especially because you look at like last year and, Cleveland was 5th in the majors in stolen bases as a team. Arizona was right in the middle of the pack at 15th. So to see now Josh Naylor just stealing a crap ton of bases for no apparent reason is a little bit shocking. But I think in this new age, since they changed all the rules, we're going to see these things. Matt Chapman's doing it again, right? Matt Chapman had 26% of the Giants stolen bases last year, and he's on pace to do it again. It's unreal. Naylor to the Red Sox, I could see that's not going to happen. They're not trading him. So, I'm. Maybe as a free agent. Is Naylor a free agent at the end of this year?
I'm not sure.
He is a free agent at the end of this year, so maybe he could end up there. I don't think that is going to be the spot that Naylor ends up, though. I think Boston's going to do something else at first base. But we'll see. That's been really surprising. My surprising thing at first base, and you said you agree with it, it's just how bad Christian Walker has been this year. I thought Christian Walker was perfectly suited with that right-handed swing in Houston with a short porch off and left to kind of really take advantage of that. Then the way that Isaac Paredes has done.
I was literally about to say Isaac Paredes is doing exactly. Well, we thought Isaac Paredes would do this too, but we thought Walker would do it to even more pronounced level. So
it's been absolutely shocking, and it's hard because I don't know what to do with him. He's he's been. You're not dropping him or anything like that, but I didn't put in really big bids on Caglione. One, because I don't like doing the big bids, but 2, because I've got Walker and am I gonna drop Walker? Am I gonna put him on my bench forever? No, you got to think he's gonna be better than this. The XBA is 242,
right?
So he is getting unlucky, and he's still striking the ball really hard. And it's not like he's lifting it too much or hitting it into the ground too much. I just think he's been a bit unlucky, and things are gonna be better. It's just hard to hold.
The numbers are slightly down. The K rate's up, the contact rate's down, the hard hit rate's down, but it's all very minute.
Yeah.
Nothing is jumping off the page of oh my God, this is what's going on. The home run per fly ball number, which is usually when I'm looking at guys who are due regression, usually the first thing I look at is home run per fly ball rate. So his career home run per fly ball rate is 15.7%. In fact, in 2024, that's exactly where it was. And the year before that is 15.9. Right now it's at 10.7. So it's 33% lower than it was last year. It's 5% lower in terms of home run per fly ball rate, but 33% lower than the overall number. But I definitely think he's getting unlucky, but I also expected I thought his home run per fly ball rate would actually go up this year because, like we're saying, pulling balls into the Crawford box. And he's clearly trying to do that too. And maybe my thought is because his pull rate is up about 6% from last year. My thought was maybe he adjusted his swing to try to pull the ball more down the line, that because of adjusting his swing, he's now off. That's what's coming to my mind in terms of maybe he's just trying too hard to do that and it's not working.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be. I haven't been able to sit down and do a real deep dive in terms of kind of what's going on with his swing, and if it's a matter of hey, he's pressing a little bit, he's being a little bit too aggressive on pitches that he shouldn't be. But I'm interested to see how they blew Merrill Kelly's win. Awesome.
He is swinging more, and he's swinging more outside the zone too. So he's been a little bit. It seems like he's probably pressing a little bit, but it doesn't seem like anything that's gonna be a long-term issue for him.
I do feel like he's gonna turn it around.
Yes, I think so.
One of the other ones that was mentioned, and I almost chose this, is but I've been a big fan of Spencer Torkelson, so it wasn't as big of a surprise to me as it was that Walker completely has fallen apart in the early part of the season. But Torkelson has been amazing. I mentioned this coming into the season, and of course, in spite of the fact that I thought this way, I didn't end up with Torkelson really anywhere in leagues, mostly because I just had other targets at first base earlier on in drafts, and so I was addressing other needs later in drafts where Torkelson was going. But I really felt like Torkelson just was kind of unlucky last year and really didn't get a chance to prove that he belonged at the major league level. The Tigers sent him down a little bit too quickly, and now he's kind of proven that right.
He's having a mirror season of 2023, and that's exactly what I thought too. I thought he was one of the most obvious buy lows of the season. Now, when he started off the season hitting 280, 290, I knew that wasn't going to stick. Now he's down to 237, and I think that's you're going to see him around 240. I think that's 230, 240. That's kind of his batting average range. But I think he's got 30 homer power, and he's now hitting in the middle of a very good Detroit lineup suddenly. So. That's exactly why I wanted him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bummed I don't have him anywhere, but I'm really enjoying watching him just crush the ball, because I do think he is going to turn it into a really, really good player, or is a really, really good player. I don't think he needs to turn into anything more than he already has been at this point, actually. Let's go to second base, and I'll lead this one off. I started going, well, I could talk about this guy, I could talk about this guy, I could talk about this guy.
I thought you had to talk about your boyfriend, the leader of the zone contact party.
But what I ended up going with, because there's a number of guys that I loved coming into the season at second base, but ultimately what I want to talk about is just how bad the position has been overall. It has just been, and I think we had some suspicion that this could be the case, but it really, really has been terrible. If you look at the guys who were drafted in the top 8 in terms of ADP, only one person has turned in $10 of value or more, and that's Ketel Marte, and he just got to that point because he finally has gotten enough plate appearances. If we had this conversation a week ago, and Paul and I did have conversations like this a week ago, there was nobody drafted in the top 8 that was returning the value where you drafted him. Now, there have been guys who have emerged, right? Bryce Terang, a guy I was a big fan of, has emerged. Maikel Garcia, who I was a big fan, has emerged. Brandon Lau's having a nice little bounce back year. Brendan Donovan is having a sneaky good year in St. Louis. But overall, the second base position has been an absolute nightmare.
Second base hasn't really been a problem area for me personally, but I can see how on the whole it has not been great. I mean, granted, I don't I've got Gleyber Torres, who's solid, but not anything spectacular. I've got a lot of Jackson Holliday, who I was very high on, who is really picking it up right now and playing every single day and hitting leadoff. Westberg's been on the IL, so we'll see what he's got when he comes back. I picked up Chase Meadroth a couple places. Tyro Estrada was a guy I picked up recently. So for me,
what I want to point out, though, all these names are guys that were not drafted highly.
Yeah,
right?
well, Westbrook, but yeah, the rest of them, no, not
yeah,
really.
yeah, and that was a mistake that I warned you about in draft season. But
What was
Westbrook?
what you knew he was going to get hurt?
No, I've never been a fan of his, but
Okay, well let's see what he does when he comes back.
Yeah, for sure. I'm mostly just joking on.
I was way off the Matt McClain train, so I don't have to deal with that.
I have Matt McClain, and
I hated McClain this year so much. So I was off that, but yeah. He's on the struggle bus big time. Simeon was on the struggle bus, but now he's kind of turned it around. I don't know.
Yeah, Simeon was my most rostered player.
Oh boy,
this year again. Why my main event team has been struggling and is starting to pick it back up again because he's part of the guys who are starting to pick it back up again. But there's a lot of these guys were that were going in the top 100.
I mean,
at second base.
Altuve and Albies haven't. I mean, Altuve's picked it up lately, but he had a really rough start. Jazz has been injured for a while. I mean, if you weren't expecting Jazz to get hurt, I don't know what to tell you, but But
even when he's been on the field, he's hitting 214 this year.
Right. He is running and hitting some home runs, but yeah, the average is super low. Ketel Marte has recently started just crushing.
He's doing which is why he's now over $10 earned. But
but you're right. For the most part, there's really not a whole lot of value at second base. Like it's it's kind of just a bunch of bad to mediocre production right now.
But this is one of the reasons why, I said in draft season, unless you had someone you really, really loved early on at second base, you should just wait. There was a lot of value at the back end.
Yeah, I think we agreed on that because I was all about waiting on second. I really love Ketel Marte, he's my guy, but it's so hard to take a guy with his history of lower body injuries in the second round or even early third. It's not where I want to be. So and I really wanted to avoid Altuve this year. I did not have a good feeling on him. I did take Westberg where he fell to the 100 range. But outside of that, just wasn't really anybody like Luis Garcia for being a platoon guy was going so high. I love Garcia, but he's going 120. And I was just I can't pay that price for a part-time player. I just can't do it.
Yeah. I paid the price on Garcia in a league and I instantly regretted it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move. Oh wait, no, actually, you haven't given yours. Your second base. I like this one.
Yeah. So Kody Clemens, kind of coming out of nowhere to be kind of like a Matt Wallner-lite. And basically any power hitter who just plays versus righties because that's what he is. And he's picked up triple eligibility, I think, for the most part, first, second, and outfield now.
Yep.
And he's got a 150 WRC plus versus righties. And I think he's kind of really been under the radar here. So if any of you are playing in leagues where you can pick guys up to play versus righties and then, not need to play them when they're not playing righties because he only starts versus righties, but he's mashing the ball right now versus righties. So he's very much a useful player for me.
Yeah, 53% hard hit percentage this year, a 94 average exit velocity, a 13% barrel rate. 88% zone contact, only swinging outside the zone 24% of the time, which is below league average, is great. He's absolutely murdering right-handed pitching. And the beauty of that division is there's not a lot of lefties.
Yeah.
There just aren't. There's just not a lot of lefties in that division. And so when they're going division heavy, especially towards the end of the season, he's going to be a guy that is going to be extremely valuable, especially with that triple eligibility. I have him on a number of teams right now, and I'm just kind of picking my spots with him, and it's working out really well.
The Twins and the White Sox don't have a single lefty. The Guardians' only lefty is Logan Allen, who might not be long for the rotation. Detroit has Tarek Skubal. Obviously, that sucks.
But you're not starting him against Skubal anyway.
Oh, right. Right. And then the Royals do have Cameron, Bubic, and Reagans. But, the rest, unless you're playing the Royals, it's very righty heavy in that whole division.
Yeah. So let's move over to shortstop. What do you got there?
Okay. So I wanted to mention Pena because he's just having a monster season. And I do like Pena. I did not see him having this type of a season, though. But the biggest surprise for me by far is Gerald Perdomo. That was not a guy I had on my bingo card being a not just useful but really good player. I mean, granted, he's really kind of fallen off lately, and I want to see what his end of the year stats look like. But I mean, he was crushing it for the first month to month and a half.
Yeah, he's definitely slowed down. He's actually hitting 111 in the month of June.
Yeah, I mean, he had to. I mean, this is not a superstar player, but he's already at 7 homers and 11 steals, which, I mean, his career high in homers was 6 in 500 plate appearances in 2023.
But I think one of the things that's really important about Perdomo is when they signed him to that deal, they were really committing to this is going to be an everyday guy as long as he's healthy.
Yeah.
And in that lineup, which is so good top to bottom, you're going to just rack up a lot of runs and RBIs. I don't think he's going to have like a massive amount of power. Like he's already got 7 home runs.
He's got 43 RBI. That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like if he hits another 7 or 8 home runs, that won't surprise me, but he could have 100 RBIs in this lineup, which is for a guy who literally was not being drafted. I think his ADP was in the 440s in the main event. And I think he only went in 16 leagues, which means he was not drafted in 40 or 41 of the 57 main event leagues. That is insane value off the wire.
You expected him to have value in runs. He had 61 runs last year, but 37 RBI. He's already eclipsed that. His runs are only half as much as last year. I mean, granted, it's 120 less PAs, but he's flipped it where now he's getting a lot more RBIs than runs.
Because they're hitting him third.
Right.
That's
where I didn't, I thought he was going to hit 9th, maybe 8th or something like that. And here he is hitting in the middle of the lineup now, not even leadoff either. He's hitting 3rd, and that's crazy. I did not have that on my bingo card.
I didn't either. I mean, I picked him up off the wire too. It wasn't like I thought.
Well, of course you did. I mean, he's got a 95.3% zone contact rate, so I knew you would have him.
Yeah, absolutely, because zone contact's important.
That is not why he's having value.
As far as Pena goes, I thought he was a value, but I didn't see this coming.
Right.
I mean, he's been absolutely unreal so far this season. What I thought was people in the fantasy industry, we talked about this on the last episode. For those of you who are still live with us, that was 10 minutes ago. But people get overly excited about new players, and then when those new players don't live up to our expectations, we hate them. Right? We cast them aside, and that's what happened with Pena. Right? Pena came on as a rookie, was really, really good. Everybody got really excited for year 2. He didn't even disappoint. He wasn't a disappointment in year 2 and 3. He just kind of was not a guy who took another leap forward, but he was fine. He's a perfect accumulator, dude, in a really good lineup. And people kind of ignored that coming into 2025. Now, is he going to be this good? No, he's not going to be this good.
What makes you say people ignored him? I mean, his ADP was 160. That's not low.
I had him as he should be going in the top 125. So that was my value on him.
So you thought he should have been ahead of Bogarts, Volpe, Xavier Edwards, and Tovar.
I thought he should be in that neighborhood for sure. Yeah, I had Volpe ahead of him, but I had him ahead of Tovar. What are the other names?
Tovar went 125. Xavier Edwards was 140. Volpe was 142. Bogarts was 146, and then Pena was 160.
Yeah, I think I had him right around Bogarts. I had Volpe ahead of him, but I had Tovar behind that entire group. So
okay, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Tovar was very, very productive in Coors at a very young age. So I don't know.
With terrible underlying skills.
Well, I'm not taking him there. I had 0 Tovar, right? If I was taking someone around there, it was 100% Bo Bichette. I was on the Bo train.
I was not, and that one was that's been a big surprise for me.
That was such an obvious regression to me. I don't understand how you think he's did you think he was just dead or something? Of course, he was a very talented player who just had an off year due to a bunch of injuries occurring. Kind of sometimes you guys have a wasted year because they get hurt, they don't really come back from it, and nothing really comes of it. But
my biggest issue with Bichette is I didn't know who he was anymore. We knew the stolen bases weren't going to come back in the way that they were earlier on in his career. if the power was middling, how much value was a guy like Bichette going to have? He'd be like kind of an empty batting average guy. And he's been much better. I mean, he's already got 8 home runs, which I didn't expect. I think he's going to be very similar to what we saw in 2023, which is a guy who hits 20-ish home runs, puts up decent counting stats and some chipped in stolen bases, but with a good batting average. I didn't know what we were going to get. Oh, so he missed a lot of time with injuries, and I wasn't willing to risk, like, and like the guys going after him, I really liked.
I just didn't like that he was like, I thought we would get him a bigger discount. Like, I thought he would be closer to 140, 150, not 120. So, like, that's why I didn't get more of him. But, yeah, I don't know. I just, a guy who has 3 good years, highly touted prospect, like, and then 1 down year, I'm always going to bet on them bouncing back unless there's a reason not to. And I didn't see any of the injuries being an issue for this year. Like, it's not like something that was ongoing, but we'll see how he finishes. But I don't know. I liked Pena. I just didn't see him as like an obvious, he should have been going several rounds earlier guy at 160. I thought that was about right. Yeah. There's kind of like that big cluster, and kind of Pena and Dansby Swanson a lot of times were kind of going close to each other, and Mason Wynn.
And Swanson was one of those guys that I saw as like, this is a really big value. Like, I really like Swanson as a value. I tried to grab him in leagues. Neto was another one, but you had to wait on the injury, which was hard to do.
I didn't see the power coming for Neto. I thought he was going to provide value with his speed, but generally guys coming off of shoulder and wrist surgery have a down year in power that first year back, and that's not been the case with him at all.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect the power to be this good, but I did think he was going to be a good value where he's going.
I love Zach Neto so much. I want to have him everywhere next year.
Yeah, I've got him in a lot of spots this year. It's made a lot more expensive next year.
So on the other side of things with Perdomo and Pena is Corey Seager, who's just been a complete dud so far. And he has dealt with some injuries.
Yeah, it's mostly been injury. Like, I mean, we're talking about, like, yes, the batting average has been an issue when he has been on the field, but the XBA is 288. He's still crushing the ball when he's on the field. Barrel rate's almost 15%. Zone contact is down, but I'm not like worried about. I'm not worried about that at all. I think once he's back healthy, he'll be fine. But this is kind of what you get from drafting Corey Seager. It's a guy like, he's not going to play a full season. He is going to leave 100 to 200 plate appearances on the shelf. And I think that is, something people aren't accounting for at the draft table a lot of times.
I mean, I do. I know
you do, but
I was in on him, but more as like a 4th round player, not he was actually going like end of the 3rd at 43.7, which I don't think he went that early in most of my leagues, but like as a 4th rounder, I think he's perfect because he has that upside where if things align and he stays healthy, he could give you 1st round production or at least 2nd round. But yeah, you are likely going to have to deal with some time off.
He has one season since 2017 with 600 plate appearances.
Right, but I don't need 600 plate appearances. He doesn't need to give me 600 plate appearances. I mean, wait, one since when?
2017.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
His one season was 2022.
2016 and 2017, and then 2022. Yeah, but 536 and 533 the next 2 years. I'm fine with that. I don't need more than 530 plate appearances from Corey Seager. He's still going to give me 30 to 35 homers with a really good average. So that's fine. I'm totally okay with accounting for that. But we'll see if he picks it up because, like you said, the underlying stuff looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
K rate's up a little bit, but the XBA, like you said, 288. He's barreling the ball. He's hitting the ball hard. So I don't think it'll be an issue for him rest of the year.
Uncle Ted in the chat's asking, where is Bobby Witt Jr.'s power this year?
Good question. Yeah.
I mean, I think he'll be fine. Like, I don't think, yes, he's having kind of a down power year, but he hit 17 of his home runs in July and August last year. As things heat up in Kansas City, that ball starts to fly a little bit more. I think he's going to be fine. Maybe he doesn't get back to exactly the numbers he had last season, but ultimately I think Bobby Witt Jr. isn't going to be a person you're questioning your decisions in terms of who you drafted.
Yeah, nothing looks super off. The home run per fly ball rate is about 4% below the last 2 years. So he's pulling the ball less, and his barrel rate's down a little bit. But I mean, I'm assuming this summer he's gonna go on a monster run. So
I'm not really worried about Bobby Witt Jr.
I think he'll get his 30.
Yeah, I'm sure he will get his 30. The guy I want to talk about is a guy that I said had a chance to win the batting title coming into the season and was a sneaky, like, deep sleeper kind of guy. But that's not why we're talking about Jacob Wilson. Yes, he is hitting 372. I think there's a chance he does win the batting title this year. And honestly, things haven't even heated up in Sacramento. I think there's I think he'd be the odds-on favorite to win the batting title in Sacramento. What I want to talk about is the 8 home runs and 5 stolen bases he already has. Yeah. He has never had 8 home runs at any stop in the minor leagues before. He's never had 5 stolen bases at any stop in the minor leagues before. This is insane. Yes, he's absolutely benefiting from Sacramento. But we're talking about a guy who is now, if you look at the Fangraphs player rater, is the number 3 shortstop in fantasy this season. That's ahead of Bobby Witt Jr. That's ahead of Trey Turner. That's ahead of O'Neal Cruz. It's ahead of Mookie Betts. This is maybe the most shocking thing we're talking about today.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically giving you first-round value right now. Now, granted, the average will come down. Like Judge is not going to hit 400. He's not going to hit 372. But it's probably going to come down to like 320, maybe 310. But I would be shocked if it got under 300, to be fair. He makes a lot of contact. It's not particularly hard contact, but
where does he make that contact?
Everywhere. 91.7% contact rate.
Yeah, it's
I mean, unreal. You can't even look at the zone contact. The zone contact is like 2.5% higher. It's like nothing. Yeah. Like he makes contact everywhere. It doesn't matter where the ball is. He's hitting it.
Yeah.
So
it's really unreal. But this is who Jacob Wilson is. Like, he's just a dude who makes a crap ton of contact. It's gonna regress. The power is gonna regress. Sure. The batting average will regress just because I think it's impossible in this day and age, how good pitchers are, for anybody to hit 370 over the course of a full season. But I think he's going to hit 320, maybe even 340.
Yeah.
The power, though, the power is this is complete fabrication, right? This is just really, really lucky. He's got a 3% barrel rate.
It's partially that park, though, right? I mean, and I don't know. I think he could still hit. I think he could get to 15 homers. I don't think that's out of the question.
I would be shocked if he got to 15 home runs, but I'm shocked right now. So I mean,
right? You don't think you don't think it's possible he hits another 7? I mean, okay. So in 2024 in the minors, he hit 7 in 226 plate appearances. So that's like a 15 home run pace, and that's not even in a park like this. And I mean, he could have, added some.
Oh no, their AAA park is insanely.
Oh, is it also really? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Las Vegas. It's a completely launching pad. Could it happen? Yes. Would I bet on it to happen? No, I would not. I would bet on him not having another 7 home runs this year. That being said, you take this, right? I think I projected him for 3 home runs on the season. 3 or 4. I'd have to go bring up my projections, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to slow down my computer. But I'm sure I projected him for 3 or 4 home runs this year. And I'm sure my thought process when doing it was I think he's fast enough to get an inside the park home run in some in a couple stadiums or something like that. But this is unreal. He's a good defender. He's going to play every day. He's going to hit up high on the lineup. I just think that this is unreal. And yeah, congrats to you if you drafted him. I've got him in a couple leagues.
I have none, so I'm sad.
I had a couple leagues where like I had really bad batting average issues like towards the end of the draft, and I go, you know what'll fix this?
Haven't I taught you better than this? I mean, I hate that this is going to work for you.
Yeah, no, it's just
this is going to set a dangerous precedent. This is like Jake winning the auction overall while doing his fab from the softball bench. So then he thinks he can do that every year. It's like, oh god, don't develop bad habits, people. Come on.
I'm pretty sure I have him in Barf. What is it Barf where I've got him? Yeah. Where and it's like, is it Barf? Yeah, it's Barf, and it's put me in a situation where I've had Perdomo on my bench most of the season because like I've got Jacob Wilson. And then I've got like Lindor or someone like that. Like, oh no, I have Trey Turner. It's like, what do I do? Like, I can't play Perdomo over Jacob Wilson or Trey Turner. Like, I gotta
keep him on your bench and say,
yeah,
okay, I'll wait to see if I need him, and if not, that's cool.
yeah, exactly. Let's move over to the hot corner. I'll start, and we'll talk about Mark Vientos. He's injured now, but prior to the injury,
yeah.
I knew the batting average wasn't going to be something that duplicated from last year. Like the dude just swings and misses too much. He doesn't make enough contact in the zone. But there's a ton of power in the bat. And in spite of the fact that like he does swing and miss a little bit too much, like I felt like he was going to be able to at least hit just a crap ton of home runs, hit 6 in 53 games. And now he's injured. It's a low-grade hamstring strain, so hopefully he will be back fairly quickly. But I've been really, really disappointed in Mark Vientos, in spite of the fact like the underlying contact numbers have actually been better.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. It's because the contact rate's up. The K rate's down from like close to 30% to 23.5%. He was walking more. The line drive rate is up. Obviously, so two things. The two biggest things are his home run per fly ball rate was down from 26.5%, which is probably bloated last year, to be fair, all the way down to 11.5% this year. So that's a monster drop off. The other thing is he wasn't pulling the ball. So last year he was at 41.7% pull rate. This year, all the way down to 31.4% pull rate. His barrel rate was halved. He was at 14%. He's at 7% this year. Everything else kind of looks like along the same lines, but I think he's. I don't know. I would be curious to see if we just put on another 200 plate appearances to see where would we be at that point. Like, would some of those issues correct themselves? But it's a really frustrating player to have. But when you're drafting a guy with a 30% strikeout rate, those guys have the capability of busting higher than guys with lower K rates. Like, if you're going to take these lower contact guys, sometimes they bust. Those are not the kind of guys I typically like to invest early picks in. So,
to be honest, like I didn't invest very much. I don't think I had a God Vientos anywhere. But I was surprised looking at like, honestly, I think third base has been kind of the opposite of second base, which has been pretty good for the most part. Like there hasn't been like many third basemen that have really busted this year. And we've had some, but we also haven't like had major breakouts either at the bottom end of the position.
It looked like Devers might have been a bust early on, and now he's really turned it around. Yep. So, Berger got sent down, but then he came back up, and now he's hitting again.
Yeah. Max Muncy's been great since getting glasses.
I mean, who knew you had to be able to see the ball to hit it?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So, for the most part, third base has been, outside of the guys we've already kind of mentioned at second base that are struggling, like third base has been pretty fine. I think the only ones that you're really like, what the hell is going on? Royce Lewis has been terrible since returning from the IL. I think he's going to be fine. And then Alec Boehm has been really underwhelming. Part of it is like he's just not a guy with a carrying tool for fantasy in terms of having a lot of power, a lot of speed. He really benefits from the lineup around him. And there hasn't been a lot of guys on base and a lot of guys to drive him in Philadelphia this year. I think that'll change though.
For a long time he didn't have a single home run. Now I think he's up to like 5. So,
yeah.
But I think you're drafting a Bohm more for the counting stats and the average. So, yeah, I'm not as worried about him. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little worried about Royce Lewis. I do think that people were also overrating him a bit. Like, I think people thought he was like a superstar because of what he did in a half season in 2023, where I had him stashed. You know, when I knew he was going to be coming back in a couple weeks, but I don't think he's necessarily the superstar that people think he is, and I think that if you're relying on him to be your main third baseman, I don't love that. I think I would be looking to. I'm not saying drop him, but I'm also not. I don't want to rely on him turning it around and having a monster second half because I don't know that I see that happening.
For Garcia?
No, Royce Lewis.
Oh, Royce Lewis? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were already transitioning to Garcia. No, the underlying numbers on Lewis they're fine. I think this is a mental thing, honestly. And
well, even he's doing this badly, yes, but I don't think he's a superstar. Like, I don't think he's going to have a monster second half.
I think he could. I mean, 42% hard hit rate, 11% barrel rate.
42% hard hit rate is not great.
But I mean, when you're not hitting the ball very much, like it's fine. Like, I'm not like he's 90% zone contact, 26% O swing. Like, there's nothing necessarily wrong with these numbers.
No, I'm just saying I think people had too high of expectations based on 2023, where he had a 354 BABIP and 15 homers in a 239 plate appearance sample. I think people thought he was a 30 homer bat, and I don't necessarily think he is. And
I think he could be, but I mean, obviously, it's not going to be this year.
And I think he's probably closer to a 240 to 250 bat than a 300 bat. So,
oh yeah, I never bought that he was a.
I'm just saying, I think some people have too high of expectations for him.
I think he's going to hit like 250, 255. The power will come back. He'll, end up hitting probably 16, 17 home runs, but that's.
I mean, yeah, he could do that. Yeah, I'm just saying I would want him more of like a corner infield type play more than like my starting third baseman.
All right. What about your guy? Or guys?
It's like, yeah, I mean, the biggest surprise for me, and it's a guy who I honestly, it's not super shocking because he was a big time prospect who, as we talk about, sometimes these guys come up and they don't hit right away. And we saw that with Miguel Vargas. He had 2 half seasons with LA, and who else is he with? The White Sox got traded to last year. Yeah. And he had 2 just horrific half seasons. Where he hit 195 and then 150. So it's just like expectations were low. But I knew that there was talent in there. But then, like, I think maybe he went to the White Sox. The pressure was off. And, we're seeing that he can actually be a productive guy. Now, granted, he went on that huge hot streak. And I think that, again, people might be overrating what he actually is. But he's hitting 237, but with a 249 XBA, 9 homers, good counting stats. And he doesn't strike out a lot. He's down to a 17% K rate, and his barrel rate pretty much doubled from last year up to 10.8% now. The hard hit rate is up, way up, 15% from last year. Contact rate is up. So just you're seeing a lot of positive trends with him. And I'm not saying he's like a superstar, but this is a very, very usable player now. Whereas before he was just kind of like a forgotten guy. Like, I don't think he got drafted in most drafts.
Yeah. I mean, I think he is like I think Vargas, again, this kind of goes back to what I was talking about. Who were we actually talking about when I brought this? Oh, Pena, right? There are guys that when they come up, people have really high expectations for him. And when they don't succeed, they bury the dude. I think that's Vargas. Like, Vargas was one of the top prospects in all of baseball. Everybody thought he was going to come up with the Dodgers and be a star. He didn't. Then he got traded to a bad team and struggled, and people kind of just wrote him off. And now he's kind of back. I don't think he's ever going to be the guy that people thought he was as a top prospect. And I think Vargas is the perfect example of why we shouldn't look at prospect lists and go, that means he's going to be a fantasy star. because often these prospect lists aren't for fantasy, number one. And number two, like, these tools don't always translate that well necessarily from prospect to major leaguer. And there's not a ton in Vargas's profile to say like he's going to be a star, but I think he's going to be a competent major league hitter for the next 10 years in, Major League Baseball, and be a usable fantasy piece, like a guy who hits, low 20s home runs, does it with a halfway decent average, and walks a ton. And that's going to have value because he's going to score a bunch of runs and probably drive in a fair amount of runs once the White Sox get better, and deliver some power and some chip and speed. But like, is he a star? No, but yeah, he's better than a lot of people thought he was after he, struggled in his first couple go-arounds.
Right, but he's taking some legitimately big steps forward from that. And granted, the bar from where he was very, very low, but he's relevant now. Like, he's a guy who you want to roster at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have him rostered in a couple leagues right now. So, and then your other guy.
Yeah, was Maikel Garcia. And I mean, it's mostly like, we knew that he had the steals. He's got 13 steals, but we've seen him run wild before. He had 37 last year. And he had a down year in average last year, but I think he was pretty unlucky because he had a 231 average, but a 260 XBA. Well, this year, he's hitting 312 with a 289 XBA. So he's hitting a little above, where he should be. But, there's some, his barrel rate is up 3%, while having the same, contact rate. And the launch angle is also up 3 degrees, which is huge. And he's also pulling the ball 5% more. But despite all that, I'm still shocked that he's already at 7 homers. Like, that's the biggest surprise to me, is that he has 7 homers already, which is what he had in over 2 times as many at-bats last year.
I wouldn't expect him to keep this going. Like, I don't think he's getting to 20 home runs.
Probably not. No, not 20. No, but
yeah,
I mean, could hit 15. Maybe.
Yeah, I think 15 is probably the mark. I think you're looking at a guy who's like 15-40 with a 2
which would be double what he hit last year. So that's quite the uptick.
And I mean, I was big on Maikel Garcia. Like, he's one of my most drafted guys this year. Yeah, because I think like you mentioned, like, he got really unlucky last year in the batting average, and we knew the speed was there. He's a decent defender. Like he was gonna play, and like, I know everybody hates me saying it, and I know you especially hate me talking about it, but he's a good in-zone hitter. Like, he is. He's just a really good in-zone hitter. He puts the ball in play, and he's got the speed to beat out throws, right? Like that. Those are important tools to give yourself an opportunity to get lucky. And last year he got unlucky. This year he is. I wouldn't even say he is definitely getting lucky, but 346 BABIP. I wouldn't expect that to hold on throughout the entire year. But like I said, I think he's like a 280, maybe even 290 hitter rest of the way, with some power and a crap ton of speed on a lineup that should have been better than it's been, and hopefully will be better.
Yeah, I wish I had been more in on him than I was. He was not someone I was in on enough. And for 206 ADP, he was going at a good range. I was much more into Isaac Paredes, going a little bit ahead of him, and Eugenio Suarez above that. And if I was going to wait, actually, there wasn't a whole lot going after them, honestly. I was attacking third base early. To be fair, I have a shit ton of Manny Machado and Austin Riley because I really, really liked their value in the third round.
Yeah. And as it's being pointed out by Mark in the chat, he's been great in daily moves leagues because of that second base, third base, and outfield eligibility. He will pick up outfield eligibility in 10 game in season formats here pretty quickly. So he's been a great guy for my teams to be able to kind of move him around my lineup and give myself a lot of depth.
A lot of value for that, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving right along to the outfield. I think we both have some pretty good choices here. I went with Pete Crow-Armstrong. I've talked a lot about on this episode about guys that I really liked, and that I'm benefiting from, but there's no person I was more wrong on this year than Pete Crow-Armstrong. And I do think that this is like a really great sell high point on a guy like this. I don't think that he is going to continue this rate, but like dude's hitting 277. I didn't even have him for 17 home runs. He's already got 17. He's got 21 stolen bases, 50 runs, 54 RBIs. I didn't see this coming, but he's made the changes to the profile that we saw from Lawrence Butler and Brenton Doyle last year, just really becoming a better in-zone hitter. He's jumped his in-zone contact rate from 79% to 83.5%. That's massive. That's going from a guy who shouldn't be in the majors to a guy who's just below league average in zone contact. Like that's absolutely huge. There's still flaws to his approach. He swings outside of the zone too much. But because he's an amazing defender, even when he does slow down, he's still going to play every day. And so, yeah, I was super wrong on Pete Crow-Armstrong. I will eat all the crow on Pete Crow-Armstrong.
Yeah, the thing is though, I've watched him play. He gets to everything outside the zone too, and I've seen him hit honestly more of his home runs on outside of the zone pitches than in the zone pitches. So I think there might be a little bit of Vlad Senior to him. Like I think he can. He hits everything. There might be some small red flags here that you might want to make you think twice about him as a first round pick, but. I was a fan of his, and I have him in my main event. I wasn't like that guy who was pushing him up and taking him everywhere, but I do have him, and I am a fan, and I do think it's legit. And I would only be selling high if I was getting like a legit superstar in return.
And that's why I think you should, because I think you could get a legit superstar.
Well, but like how many players? Because the thing is, he's a 5-category guy. You know, like who are you going to get for him? That's worthwhile that they're actually going to give to you.
A top tier pitcher, because if you've had Pete Crow-Armstrong on your team, your hitting is probably pretty fucking good right now.
But what pitchers are you trusting to stay healthy more than I mean, because I have zero questions. I mean, anyone can get hurt, but I think we all agree that pitchers are much more likely to get hurt than hitters.
Absolutely, but if you need pitching, like Pete Crow-Armstrong's the guy, one of the guys straight. I'll give you a kind of profile comp of Pete Crow-Armstrong, which will illuminate the downside on this dude, right? Because there's another guy who's very, very similar to him in the majors. He's a guy who is making decent in-zone contact, but really swings a ton outside the zone, plays great defense on a good team. Who is this player?
Maikel Harris.
That's the comp.
I knew before we even did this episode that you're going to bring up Maikel Harris. I knew it was coming. I was waiting for it.
But this is why, like, I wouldn't draft Maikel Harris where he was going this year, right? Because this is a part of the profile. Now, on the flip side of the coin, like, I think this is a buy low opportunity on Maikel Harris.
What's Maikel Harris's zone contact rate this year?
Probably 82%.
91.6%.
Yeah, so a good in-zone hitter. So he's way better than I thought, but like he's a good in-zone hitter.
I thought you didn't like him because last year he was at 84%.
No, I don't like him because he swings outside the zone too much, and his O swing. And I'm not looking at his page, so I'm just going off top of my head. I bet his O swing's like 47%.
No, it's 43.7%.
So like that, but that's terrible. But you look at like Pete Crow-Armstrong, and Pete Crow-Armstrong's is 45.8%. And this is what happens with guys who are so aggressive and can't really determine what's in the zone and what's outside of the zone. They can go through these extended slumps that Maikel Harris has been going through the first part of the season. Like, and so that's what I mean. Like, there is downside to Pete Crow-Armstrong's profile that like he could. In a month from now, we could be like, oh man, he just went through like a Maikel Harris type slump. But this is why, like, I wouldn't have a problem selling Pete Crow-Armstrong right now, just because he's too aggressive, and that may come back to bite him, especially as pitchers start to adjust to him.
Yeah, I just think that you have to remember that he helps you in all 5 categories. So, like, he's in a great lineup, so the runs and the RBIs are massive. He runs a shit ton, and he's got legitimate power. Now, could he go through a downswing? Yeah, I would think he probably will at some point this year. So I'm not opposed to that, but man, I'm just trying to think like who would I be comfortable accepting in a trade for him. And I don't know, for starting pitching, it'd be real tough. Like, I don't even like Zach Wheeler is the only guy who I feel like really comfortable in terms of like what they're going to give me and staying healthy. Other than that, like, I'm still afraid of Skeens and Skubal, to be honest with you. And I get it. I see Skubal dominating. Here's the thing. I don't think whoever has Skubal, I don't think they're trading.
Yeah, they're not trading. You're not getting Skeens or Skubal.
No,
but
no, I wouldn't want Skeens. I would take PCA over Skeens all day.
What about Hunter Brown?
No,
I think that's a really fair offer. And
I love Hunter Brown. I have a lot of Hunter Brown this year. I was all over him, but I don't know if his velo is so high now that I'm just hoping he makes it through the year because I'm off of him next year now because he's throwing way too hard.
All right. What about?
I think Wheeler. I think Wheeler would be the one guy who he's under the velo threshold and has the track record and results that I would trust. If I needed pitching help, that would be the guy I would be targeting.
Oh, I don't mind that at all.
Okay. That'd be fair.
But like I said, like I think you get a lot for Crow-Armstrong right now.
But you need to.
Yeah, you should. If I'm not getting like a top like 20 overall player, I'm not trading Crow-Armstrong.
Yeah, even if he goes through an extended cold streak, he's still going to be really good overall this year.
Well, because he can steal bases. Like he's gonna he's gonna steal 50 bases. You know, like So
everything else. Everything else is still going to be good. Like the average might wane, the power might come down a bit, but he's still going to run. Yeah. He's still going to give you runs and RBIs too.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Yeah. So my pick for the position was a guy who we thought we didn't need to even think about anymore because he hasn't been even mildly relevant since 2021, and that's Trent Grisham.
Yeah.
Granted, he's only 28, and you'd think he's like 35, but based on like it feels like he's been around forever. But he's got 13 home runs already. I mean, granted, he was hitting like 300 earlier. Now he's down to 240. So you know that it's coming down. But the barrel rate is 14.7%. The contact rates are there. The hard hit rates are higher than his career averages for sure. But like it's just. He had 9 home runs last year, too. It just must be the park. Because, like, obviously San Diego, not a great park for power. Then he goes to New York. He hits 9 homers and 209 PAs last year. And
he's
13 this year.
He's a lefty in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it is that, and it's opportunities. Like, had an opportunity
and
to play.
He did raise his pull rates the last 2 years, too. He was almost at a 50% pull rate.
No.
This year at 48. So
only 5 of his 13 home runs have been in Yankee Stadium. Now that I'm looking at it, which is kind of crazy.
It's still shocking to me that he's that like I just didn't think I'd have to think about Trent Grisham ever again.
Yeah. I will say that over the last month, Trent Grisham is hitting 200, 314, 344 with 3 home runs.
Yeah.
So like I dropped him this week.
Okay.
In a 15-team league.
Oh.
Okay. So, like, I don't think he's going to continue this, but it's been a fun early season story.
For sure.
The crazy thing is how many home runs Trent Grisham hit on my bench.
Yeah, and I feel like you're probably not alone. You're not alone in that, I don't think.
Yeah, the truly frustrating part of Trent Grisham is just how many fucking home runs that dude just put up on my bench.
Because every time you saw it, you're like, it's got to be that's.
Yeah, like there's no way like he's able to do this, right? Like it's just you.
By the time you finally are like, all right, fuck it, I'm putting him in my lineup. Then he does nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. on my main event team, he hit 5 home runs on my bench.
That's not as many as I thought it would be.
Yeah, so he hit 5 home runs in my active lineup. So, actually I got kind of the better end of the deal. He hit 223 in my active lineup, hit 191 on my bench. And he's now gone off my team. So, let's move over to the pitching side of things. I'll let you start on. This was one I considered going with, but there was one other guy that has been even crazier to me.
Yeah, and I mean, so much of this is luck based. Like he's basically been, mediocre at best, but the results don't say that, and that's Tyler Mahle. He's got a 2.02 ERA with a 1.07 WHIP. His Sierra, however, is more than twice that at 4.48. He's only striking out. His K rate is 18.8%. His walk rate is 9.2%. His K minus walk rate is under 10%. So none of this tracks as he's like a different guy or a good pitcher all of a sudden. But goddamn, if you have him and you've banked these results, you are so lucky. And
I have him in a lot of leagues, and
wow, I have him in 0 leagues. So
he was one of my end game targets in a lot of leagues.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. He just looked really good in spring. And while he has been absolutely lucky, I completely agree with you. He is not going to be a 2 ERA pitcher.
No.
I do think he's going to outpitch some of his peripherals. He's really, really good at locating. And you look at his location plus numbers for Tyler Mahle, and they're 111. And I think that one of the things that projections and some of the ERA indicators miss is when guys are really good at locating. And I'm not saying he's like
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's as like good as like prime Kyle Hendricks, but I like to reference like all projections when Kyle Hendricks was really, really good missed on Kyle Hendricks year after year. We're seeing this with like Merrill Kelly this year, right? Like the ERA indicators, the projections are being like, well, no, he's not this good. Maybe he's not this good, but he is good. And I think he can maintain some of this. It's like I said, he's probably more of like a 3-5 pitcher rest of the way, something like that. But I don't, like you've already banked a lot of this goodness. You're now going to get to bank a 3-5 rest of the way or something like that. And so the end of season line is going to be really, really good for Mahle. He'll probably be overdrafted next year. I won't have any shares, and that's totally fine because I'll profit it this year. But right. I really like Tyler Mahle.
Okay. I have a little trivia for you.
Yes.
And it's from your own team. What player for the Giants for 8 straight seasons outperformed his peripherals? From 2005 to 2012.
It's got to be Matt Cain.
It's definitely Matt Cain.
Yeah. And this is a Matt Cain type player.
Yeah, I was going to say he's like a Matt Cain light. Like he's not quite as good as Matt Cain was, but Matt Cain year after year without fail, all the way until 2013, outproduced his peripherals. So I actually wrote an article on him back in the day, back when we did that kind of thing on Rotosaurus. So I remembered writing that article about him, and I remembered that he always outperformed his peripherals. So I also think it's helping him a lot that Texas is still playing like a really strong pitcher's park. Yeah,
it is.
We'll see how it goes this summer, but last year it was one of the best pitcher parks in baseball, surprisingly.
Yeah. All right. My guy is Kris Bubic, who there was some hype on him. Oh, yeah. There were some people pushing him up the draft board. I wasn't really buying in on the hype that was around. I saw kind of my workload concerns with him as a guy who had not really thrown a lot of innings in a number of years. And I was worried that was going to be an issue. It may still be an issue, but at this point,
you can't say it yet. It could still be an issue.
I was saying that about Ryan Weathers a few weeks ago, like, hey, enjoy it while it lasts. It won't last long. It may not last long with Bubic, but you've already banked 75 really, really good innings. And elite innings. And even though the underlying numbers are saying he's going to regress, still regress to a stud really pitcher. He's got a 280 xERA. This guy's been really good. He's only given up 3 home runs on the season. He's striking out a batter per 9, over a batter per 9, 27% strikeout rate, getting swings and misses, mixing pitches really well. I don't know how well this ages. Like I said, he's got a long injury history. He's never thrown more than 130 innings at the major league level in a single season. I worry that the stuff will diminish as he starts to this workload starts to go. But I'm not selling. If I've got Bubic somewhere, I'm riding this out.
So
I understand if you do want to sell though.
Yeah, so the thing is, I was a Bubic guy. I do have several shares. I think sometimes he got slammed up the board more than I was comfortable with, but I was definitely looking to take him in the general vicinity he was going, and was fine with taking him earlier. Having said that, I do think he has faced a very weak lineup so far. Houston he faced twice, and New York Yankees once, and he's got the Yankees this week, where he also got pushed back 3 days. So I actually tweeted out earlier, I think this would actually be a decent week to sit him if you have a viable alternative, because when pitchers get pushed back, even a day, but 3 days especially, usually that does not go well, and against the Yankees especially. But yeah, so he's only really faced good lineups versus lefties 3 times so far in his 12 starts. And out of those 3 games, he was really good in one of them and bad in the other 2. So I think that I wouldn't mind selling high because of the reasons that you stated, because of the workload / injury concerns. He only threw 30 innings last year, so you got to wonder how far are they willing to push him, and do they want to? And part of the reason, by the way, that he's getting pushed back 3 days to Wednesday is because they're trying to do everything they can to limit his innings, because they know they can't throw him every 6 days for the entire season, and then if they make the playoffs, what are they going to do? How are they going to use Bubic then? So at some point, it feels like they're going to need to give him a break of some sort. So honestly, I would be looking to sell high on him if you can get a guy who can give you a consistent workload. Yes, he has a 1.43 ERA, but his Sierra is 2 runs higher than that, 3.34. That's what you should be expecting moving forward.
If you get that rest of the way, though, you are
it's great. It's excellent, but
because you already banked
I just
pretty much half a season's worth of innings at a 143.
But his career high is 130 innings. He's coming off of the last 2 seasons combined. He only threw 46 innings.
Yeah.
So
that's the scary part for me.
It is, and I think it would be a good sell high if, assuming you can get someone. Don't sell low, but if you can get a good pitcher like a 3.4, 3.5 ERA guy who you can count on to go the rest of the season, I'd be in on that.
Okay, yeah. Let's go to reliever. Who do you got?
So I've done really well with closers this year. Like pretty much all the guys I avoided have been train wrecks, and all the guys that I targeted have been really good. So I put a shit ton of work into my closer research. I have a lot of Carlos Estevez, a lot of Aroldis Chapman. I picked up Pagan everywhere when he was early in the year. I think week 1 or 2. Andres Munoz was my closer 1 this year. So things have gone well. There were 2 guys, though, that I luckily didn't get anywhere, but that I was in on as Raisel Iglesias and Ryan Walker. So those 2 flopping has definitely been the surprise for me at closer. I know a lot of people aren't surprised about Raisel. There's a lot of people who are concerned about his.
I wasn't.
His skills, but Ryan Walker obviously didn't have the track record, but maybe you as a Giants fan might have a different perspective there.
No, I mean, my when I was kind of coming up with who I wanted to talk about, I wrote down Raisel Iglesias because I've got a number of Raisel Iglesias.
Yeah.
And then I wrote down Ryan Walker, and then I wrote down Devin Williams.
Devin Williams is not a surprise to me in the slightest.
It was a surprise to me he lost the job completely so quickly. I did worry that there was like a chance of injury, right?
Yeah.
Because of, he had serious back surgery a year ago.
Right.
And so there was that concern, but for him to lose it literally in the first week or 2 of the season and only get it back now because Luke Weaver's out.
Right.
And who knows if he'll actually hold on to it while Luke Weaver's out. We don't really know. But so what I ended up doing was just saying the entire pool's volatility. And it really shouldn't be a surprise because we have years like this. I think we've had a couple years in a row that have been pretty stable for the most part. But this is position. It's the most volatile position in fantasy baseball, and arguably the most volatile position in all of fantasy sports. If you want to say running back in the NFL is more volatile, I would understand that. But that's more volatile because of injuries, not because of guys, who just fall off out of nowhere. Whereas closers, like, you've got guys who people were drafting in the top 3 or 4 rounds of fantasy drafts that have now just completely evaporated.
There's some of that, but I also think that people don't. I don't think people are good at evaluating closers. If we're being honest, I think this is one of the biggest edges that me and my group have in fantasy baseball. Is I think we know how to evaluate closers very well, and I think everybody's looking at the wrong things when it comes to closers.
Well, I want a closer list next year.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I don't even project closers because I have such a hard time.
I don't project, period. But
if you want to give me a list, I'll make projections out of them.
Like I said, the only two misses for us were Raisel and Ryan Walker so far. Those were the 2 guys that we liked that lost. I think it's safe to say they both lost. Well, I think Raisel will probably get it back. I think Dylan Lee is probably the likely guy right now to lead the pack. But I think if Raisel shows that he's okay over the next several outings, I think he's good to go. But as far as Ryan Walker goes, I think you can drop him because they've already straight up called Camilo Doval the closer. And I think it almost seemed like they were looking for a reason to go back to him. And again, maybe you know more than I do here.
Camilo just looks like the guy he was in 2023. I mean, that's what it comes down to. He looks like he's back. And Ryan Walker doesn't look like the guy he was last year. I mean, just watching them pitch, like, you can see, like, Camilo is dialed in and Walker is not. Mark D with just an 80 grade comment. Every Emilio Pagan save, I just laughed and light another cigar with $100 bill. That's a fantastic comment.
I will say this, my group was very, very high on Pagan. We know Tito. So one of the biggest things that people miss is more than the player skills, you want to look at the manager. The manager is the most important thing when it comes to closers. How does the manager manage closers? Do they flip-flop around? Do they commit to one guy? How do they look at a lot of guys have what I call the closer label, like they're known closers. Carlos Estevez, every year people are like, well, he's not that good of a pitcher, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't fucking matter. He has the closer label and he's good enough to get the job done. You don't have to be the best pitcher in the bullpen to be the closer. So the people thinking it was going to be Urseg, I was just like screaming at them, like, no, it's not going to be Urseg. I guarantee you it's going to be Estevez. And I just drafted him everywhere. Even though it shouldn't matter, like closer experience shouldn't matter, but it does. But with Pagan, Tito is so loyal to his guys. When he picks a guy, that's his guy. So when I saw Pagan was obviously the guy that he was going to early on, I think most people were bidding like $40, $50. We bid $70, $80 because I was shocked that we got him everywhere. I couldn't believe that people didn't bid more. So many people were like, oh, but Alexis Diaz when he comes back. And I'm like, Tito's a new manager coming to a situation where the previous organization had this shitty guy who they used as their closer. Why would he be indebted to him? When you have a new manager comes in, things change, and they find a guy that they're comfortable with. So there was zero reason for me to think that he would ever go to Alexis Diaz, and everybody just thought that they would. And that never made any sense to me.
All right, let's move into the next subject. We'll probably go through these next 2 a little bit quicker than we went through the first 2 because, again, we're at another hour for this episode, and it's still the same day as the last episode. So I'm not staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning writing.
No, that's fine. So if you want, if you even want to, we can save it for another day, or if you want to just do the NFBC Earth update and call it a day, we can do the other stuff later. That's fine.
Why don't we do that? We'll do the NFBC Earth update, and then we'll push these topics to next week, and we will just promise to be back next week. So,
all right, I'm holding you to it.
All right. All right. So let's talk about NFBC leagues first, and then we'll focus in on the Earth leagues because there is a massive update in the Earth leagues contest. But we'll save that for a second. How are you doing in your NFBC leagues in general?
Yeah. I have 3 high stakes leagues. I've got 2 main events and a super. I am winning the super by, I think, like 35 points. So it's going
Doing
really
okay.
well. Yeah.
Not
Doing
bad.
okay. My main event with Tony that I share with Tony, we were in first for a lot of it, and now we're in second. Dustin McComas, friend of the podcast, is currently in first. And this is a main event that also has John Posma in it, as well as Rob Silver and Eric Albright. So it's a really good league. But yeah, we're currently in second there. And then in my solo main, I'm also in first place. So it's definitely been a good start for me so far. Really, I haven't had many problems with pitching injuries, but I've had a ton of problems with hitter injuries. Just cannot keep guys healthy on the hitting side, but it hasn't deterred me enough yet. But yeah, both of my mains as of when I looked yesterday were top 70 in the overall. So it's definitely been a good start, but I have been playing this far too long to even that Super League where I'm up like 35 points. It doesn't matter. Like it does, but and I don't think I'm going to lose it, but you can't count any chickens. You know what I mean? Like you have to keep trying to put your foot on the throat of your competition and trying to gain as many points as you can in any way you can, and do not ever let up. Don't take weeks off. This is the time of the year where there's people kind of start to have a malaise. It's like that middle of the year from like June to August where people kind of get lazy at times, and they kind of, the beginning of the season, everyone's excited for the first month or two. And then like towards the end of the season, if you're still within range, people are really trying hard. But the middle of the season is actually the most important. That's where you're solidifying things. That's where you're trying to make your move. And you can't fall behind. You can't take weeks off. So just keep plugging away.
And you know what that coincides with, right?
With what coincides with?
That part of the season, the middle part of the season.
Oh, well, football. Yeah.
Yeah, football drafts. That's one of some people who play both divide their attention. And this is why I still play fantasy football, but I just don't care about it. So you're not going to see me on the NFFC website anytime soon. So
fair enough. Yeah.
My teams are all over the place.
Okay.
So I'm sure you saw the screenshot earlier on in the season when I was first overall in TGFBI, because I took a screenshot, and I'm still planning on getting that made into a poster and framed. But I'm second in that league in TGFBI right now, and my team is gone between first and third quite a bit. One of my big money auction leagues, I was in first for 3 or 4 weeks, and then the last 3 days I've dropped down to fifth. Apparently, I was in second earlier tonight. I'm in fifth right now. So a lot of movement. That's a team that just lost a bunch of pitchers, though. This is a team where I just lost Pablo Lopez. I lost Max Meyer. I already have Shoto Imanaga on the IL. So my pitching may be in some trouble here, but ultimately, like, I feel okay. It also has Raisel Iglesias. So I'm going to probably need some closing help, but I do have Johan Duran and Daniel Palencia. So I should be okay there in saves. We'll see. I may have to go fishing for more saves at some point. Especially if the Cubs go back to Porter Hodge or add a closer at the deadline.
I would be shocked if they did, honestly. Like, I don't think they were really committed to Hodge. I think unless loses it, I don't think they're going away from him.
I think they would prefer Hodge to be a high leverage guy, right? Kind of
high leverage, but not necessarily the closer.
Exactly. So, like, I think that Palencia could be a guy that keeps that role for a while. Yeah. But I could also see them going out and trying to get a stud closer at the deadline. If that's something they want to bolster.
Yeah. So by the way, while we're on the topic of closers and saves, my MO is to always build up as much of a lead in saves as possible, especially if you're in an overall competition where You need to, like, in a single league where there's not an overall, obviously you don't have to win, you don't have to be great in every category. In an overall competition, you kind of do if you want to have a chance at the overall, which is the whole point of it. So I like to build up. I want more saves than wins. Like, I don't care if I'm behind a bit in wins and Ks in the first half of the season, because you don't know what's going to happen between injuries and the trade deadline. I've lost 2 closers on teams before at the trade deadline. So build up that stack of saves and then flip the script for the last 2 months in August and September. And that's when you pour on the starts. And maybe you even go down to 1 closer for some weeks and stuff like that. But make sure you build up that save stockpile just in case you need it later, because you can always gain in Ks and wins later. It's much more important to get those saves now while you definitely have the guys to get them. Justin, you're on mute, buddy.
Well, I didn't want to talk about that anyways. So in my other big money auction league, $1,500 auction championship league, I'm in 11th right now. But I feel like my team is starting to get better. Had a few slow starters. I did just lose Pablo Lopez on that team as well, which is a bummer. But my pitching's been fine. I need, some guys to get hot, some guys to figure it out. And then I need guys like Marcus Semien to kind of pick it back up, Austin Riley to raise his batting average. I just got Christian Strand back. I have Max. I picked up Max Muncy off the waiver wire. Somebody dropped him in our league, and he's been great since I picked him up. So I feel like that's a team that should be better and will end up being better than it is right now, but it's going to take some grinding as I'm a little bit behind and just lost a big piece in Lopez. And then my main event league, this one was truly atrocious for much of the season. Yainer Diaz, drafted him. He's had a slow start. I think he's going to be fine. Marcus Semien, drafted him. Really slow start. I think he's ultimately going to end up being fine. Max Muncy, slow start. I think he's going to end up being fine. Colton Cowser got injured. Brenton Doyle has been atrocious this year. I think he's going to be fine. Gunnar Henderson, he's had a slow start. I think he's going to be fine. I look at this team and I go, I think this team is actually going to be competitive. It's just been a really, really slow start to the season. My pitching, I got buried by Jose Barrios in the first start of the year, but he's been great since. Spencer Swellenbach has kind of been up and down, but I think he's going to be fine. Really love Drew Rasmussen. Cole Reagan's one on the IL, but I think he's going to be fine rest of the way. I like this team a lot, and it's still in 14th, but and it actually was at 13th earlier tonight before dropping back down. I think it's a team that's actually going to be competitive, and it just was a team that just started off slow top to bottom.
So I think the only problem is you can only have so many guys that you can endure just having a slow start. What sucks is I don't know if there's an easy solution, but you can't endure having, 6, 7, 8 guys who are all doing poorly at the same time. Even if you think they're going to turn it around eventually, the stats that you're missing out on, even if you were to play a guy who's the rest of the season might not be as good, but right now they're going to give you production. You can't afford to take that many, have that many guys not performing for you all simultaneously. And what sucks is a lot of it's just luck. If they're all just slumping at the same time. And it's one of those things that you kind of sometimes have to do something drastic. Even if it's going to hurt you later, you kind of need to do stuff to help you now. And so sometimes, you drop someone who you don't want to drop in order to get production right now, because you don't want to fall so far behind that you no longer have a chance to win.
Well, and I think for me in this league, was part of it, with a slow start was I had a couple pitchers get blown up in the first few starts of the season.
Yeah.
And so it's taken me a while to work back my ERA to a respectable point. But we're getting there. Like I look at my standings and really I'm just in the middle of the pack in a lot of the categories, right? Which is fine because those are bunched, right? Like people haven't started really pulling away, and I don't have like anybody in my league. At least I don't think I have anybody in my league that's like really at this point looking at being competitive for the overall. So like, and I should actually double check that before I actually say that, but I didn't. Like the top guy in my league is 75th overall.
Okay.
Which like is fine. Like that's not a bad spot to be in at this point in the season because you can make a run, but like he's not crushing anybody.
Yeah, nobody in your league's dominating. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So it's not like in one of my auction leagues, in the auction league where I am 11th, I have the guy who is first overall in the auction championship. Like, I'm probably not catching him even at this point. And so like I'm already looking at like, okay, what do I do to play for second necessarily in that league? Whereas in my main event, like, this was not a good start and I'm going to have to grind a ton, but I don't think I'm out of this by any stretch. And other people will give up, which will give me the opportunity to kind of jump even more. So I'm not super worried about any of my NFBC leagues. Maybe I've only got one that can be competitive in an overall in my my better auction championship league. And I guess my TGFBI league too if I get hot again. I'm not like there's no league where I'm going, well, this league's dead. Like I'm not worried about that.
Well, I mean that's really where you want to be right now. Like you just want to still be in the mix at least.
So let's talk about Earth.
Oh boy.
And there was a tweet earlier tonight that I was looking at, and I'm gonna bring it up again.
Oh boy.
If I can find it in my timeline. But there's been here it is. There we go. And actually, I'll just share it onto the screen so everybody who's watching the YouTube can see it. And you can always check out the YouTube. Just Mason FWFB is the handle there, and you can see the Earth Lake standings. And you know what the crazy thing is? It looks like Glarf is second to last.
Yeah,
What?
It does look that way.
What has happened to your Glarf league?
I'll be honest with you. I've Eric Holterman and I have dug into it. Like we were like, okay, are we inactive? Nope. We're like, I think we're top. I think when we ran the results, we were top 3 in at bats and innings. I think it was like, are they not counting one of our players or like one of our someone in Glarf? I don't know, man. Other than like we're just making really poor decisions, I have no idea what is happening because this is unprecedented. Not only are we not winning, but we're getting smoked, which, obviously this is the first time you're ever excited to talk about Earth because usually we're flipped positions right now. You're last or second last. Usually it's we're last and you're second last. And then we're like just crushing everyone. And I think where are you?
We're like 6th, I think.
5th or 6th, okay.
Yeah.
Which for you guys is phenomenal. So
yeah, it's great.
I've never seen someone so excited to not be winning, but just be doing better than us. But yeah.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, obviously I want to win, but like, in the grand scheme of things, like I don't really care.
No, I get that people are just sick of Glarf winning, and I'll be honest with you. While I hate this, there's a definite part of me that's glad that it's not just going to be us running away with it every year, because otherwise, I just feel like it loses all legitimacy because then it's just Glarf winning every year.
Yeah.
Which obviously I want, and I'm not happy about this, but at the same time, I do want there to be a competition. So it's not over. We're barely into June, and as Eric says, we have 0 Glarf teams in the bottom 25. The problem is we don't have any high end teams. It's basically Lucas trying to drag the rest of our carcasses up.
Yes, yeah.
That's really what's happening right now.
Lucas Bieri is in 6th place right now. Barf is in a similar situation to you guys, where like I don't think Barf has any top 15 teams. Richard Sands, who was watching earlier, he's 16th right now. He is our highest ranked player.
Yeah.
But we also, I don't believe, have anybody ranked. Let's see, where is our lowest ranked person is 137th out of 165. So like we don't have anybody in the bottom 30 of the overall right now.
So there was also a point where I had five middle infielders all on the IL at the same time. I had Corey Seager, Tommy Edman, Jordan Westberg, Xavier Edwards, and I want to say Christian Campbell, all on the IL at the same time. Not to mention also Jackson Merrill. So, like, I have never been in a position before where I had to, like, and I couldn't replace everybody. Like, there was nothing on the board at shortstop. And I bid like $12 on fucking IKF. And I got outbid on him. Someone bid like Marty bid fucking like 25 on Kiner Falefa. I'm like, are you kidding me? I can't even get Kiner Falefa. So then the guy I got as my backup bid ended up getting sent down to the minors the next day. So I literally took another zero. So like for me, it's just been
you're costing. You're costing your league, is what you're saying.
Yes, but I don't know what else I could do because when you have five guys at the same position get hurt all simultaneously, it's kind of crazy. My pitching's been good. My hitting has been atrocious. So I'm way behind in steals. I keep trying to pick up steals. The problem is that we're all kind of going for the same things. And obviously, there's no cheating, but if we could, we'd be like, okay, you need this guy, so you bid on this guy. Obviously, we're not going to do that. But, I mean, if they could have let me get a guy with steals, I could have actually moved up well because I was over 100 points a couple weeks ago, and now I'm down to like 80 or 79 or something. Like, you're ahead of me, which is just embarrassing.
Well, I mean, my team's fairly decent. I'm in 6th place right now, but I've been as high as 2nd. Richard's been crushing. And like my team, I just need some power. Like I really need some power. I'm like 11th in RBIs, I think. And I'm like 8th in home runs. So I get some power, and then I can, I've got a good amount of saves already kind of logged. I just need strikeouts and wins, but and to rehab my ERA and WHIP a little bit because I started Bailey Ober and Jose Barrios on opening day. But I'm feeling pretty good about where my team is at. Unfortunately, another team that lost Pablo Lopez and Max Myers.
Darn.
I definitely am gonna probably have to do some work in pitching, but I like the guys I've picked up.
All right,
kind of
you know what? So you're like 20 places ahead of me in the overall. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do a keep it honest bet between us.
Oh, sure.
Between who has a higher finish, even though I'm behind right now, I'll still take.
Okay.
I'll take me in the overall. Whatever you want to, if you want to bet $20 or beer or whatever you want to do next to my.
Oh, yeah. Let's just do dinner at First Pitch Arizona.
Okay. All right. I'm in.
Love it.
I talked to Eric about like, okay, what can we be doing? What do we need to do as a league? Without cheating, obviously, but what can we do to help ourselves move up? I mean,
here's the thing. One of the big things that has been beneficial for us is the people who are at the bottom of our standings have continued to work, right? Like now,
and that's how this whole thing is set up. That was why I did that, because I want. Even if you're not going to win your league, I want you to still try so that your league can win the overall for your charity.
Yeah. So, I think you guys will end up being fine. Maybe you don't win this year because there are other teams that or other leagues that are being competitive top to bottom. But, like, I think that ultimately at the end of the day, like you guys are probably at worst going to be middle of the pack.
I don't know, man. Like we haven't been we haven't even been middle of the pack, I don't think, all year. Like I think the last time we were middle of the pack was like the second week of the year, like April 7th.
It's so early though, man. Like we're 2 months into the season.
I
like,
know.
You know
and, okay, so let's also talk about two other things. So Surf's meteoric rise the last month or maybe even like 3 weeks to first place by quite a bit right now. But also mirroring that is Nerf's plummet from Nerf was in first in, I can't tell if that's early May or late April.
Late April, yeah.
And they are like fourth last now.
Yeah.
Like, holy
yeah, like I think that just is sometimes the way things go. And also, you know, you have to wonder, like, do they have people at the bottom of their standings not keeping their active lineups, not like, you know, paying attention? Because that is, you know, like that's what it comes down to. Like it wasn't, you know, the last few years with Barf, like finishing towards the bottom, you know, the last few years, it hasn't been a matter of like the competitive teams being competitive. It's been the bottom teams completely bailing on the league. And, you know, one of the reasons why I, you know, switched over some owners this year was because I didn't want to deal with that anymore.
And you're not like me where I don't think, right? Like where you won't reach out to them and be like, hey, I need you to set your lineups and shit.
If I notice, like, you know, like I'm not like checking every week, but like if I notice like all of a sudden, like I look at the Fab report and I go, this isn't long enough. Then I'll go check like, okay, who hasn't been spending Fab money? Who hasn't, you know, I'll go check some lineups. Or if someone's like really low in the standings, like if someone's got 39 points, I'm like, okay, either everything has gone wrong for you or you aren't being active.
Right.
And so like, yeah, I definitely will do that, but I'm not as diligent as you.
Yeah. For us, it's only really been Adam Howe, who was, last year at points, and then this year early on he was, but I think he's right behind me. So either I just suck or he's picked it up. I think he's picked it up because I've talked to him a couple times and I'm like, you know, and just like I always tell people, you know, just tell me, like, if you're not in this anymore, I'm going to replace you. But you have to tell me because I don't want to have to just figure it out on my own and have us lose points in the process. Like if your heart's not in this, let me know.
Well, and I see, you know, and you and I have differing opinions on like these kind of things when it comes to the Earth Leagues, when it comes to TGFBI, like, and like, so, you know, because you're under the belief that like, and you're not wrong necessarily. I'm
definitely not wrong. If you're going to say what I think you're going to say,
I argue to the degree in which you're correct sometimes, but, you know, but yeah, on a whole, I think you're right that people in high stakes, for the most part, pay more attention or more.
There has to be some stakes. Like you look at Werf, they don't have anything on the line, and they're consistently the lowest team.
So, but and here's my, you know, and you may be right, and I think if like a league like that said like, hey, we're not going to, or we're gonna up the stakes to $300 or whatever it is, you know, or whatever they want to do, like maybe certain people who aren't taking it seriously might go, I'm not paying that amount to not take it seriously, so they drop out or they would pay attention. The way I look at industry leagues, and I consider this industry adjacent, I don't know, it's not industry because not everybody in them are in the industry, but the way I look at tout, the way I look at labor, the way I look at TGFBI is your name is attached to this, right? And we're going to talk about good, bad, or different, everything that's happening in these types of leagues. And at least to me, and it's obviously it's not like this to everybody, right? Because there's plenty of people in TGFBI, in tout, in labor, in the Earth Leagues that say, once I'm out of it, I'm checking out. Like I don't care. Like the difference between second place and 15th place is meaningless to me. But my name is more valuable than any league, right? Like the only way I'm going to make more money from a fantasy league in any given year than I do from my name, from my content, whether it's podcasts or writing, is if I win the main event overall. Like, even if I won the auction championship overall, I'm still making more money. And so, like, for, off of my name, off of my content. So, like, I'm always going to put forth a really strong effort in every industry league. And I feel like if you are in the industry, you should be behaving that way. I'm not saying people do. I'm saying you should. And so that's why I say, like, if you want to trash your own name by not caring in leagues that are publicly available, like Earth, like TGFBI, like Tout, like Labor, then you are doing yourself a disservice. And honestly, you shouldn't be in the industry.
Well, I mean, okay, not everybody in Earth, anyways, is an industry person.
No, that's why I said Earth is industry adjacent. I wouldn't call it necessarily an industry.
I don't like to think of it as an industry league because we definitely want it to be more of competitive players than just being in the industry. And look, being in the industry doesn't mean you're a good player. There's,
no, for sure.
We've gone over this before. I will always say this. There's tons of people who are, they give advice. Whether the advice is good or bad depends on the person, but there's plenty of people in the industry who are not good fantasy players. So,
and I don't think you need to be a good player to be in the industry or to be successful in the industry.
No.
Because
there's plenty of people who are great analysts. I mean,
Yeah.
So look at the guy in second last overall on Earth. It's Kyle Bland. Puts out phenomenal content for baseball related stuff. And I don't know. I don't know if he's active. I don't know if he's trying. I hope he is, but I don't think WRF is particularly. I don't think they pay as close attention to that as I do. But he puts out great content, but I don't know how good of a fantasy player he is. And not everybody has to be the best. All I ask is that you put in the effort and you try. And I've seen a lot of growth from people in Glarf, and I think Eric is becoming a really, really good player. I think he's in second in Glarf right now, actually. Yeah, he is. 18th overall. And it's really cool to see that. It's cool to see guys taking steps forward and becoming really good players and everything, which is a big reason why I like Earth. But you have to be active. You have to try. If you don't try,
I can actually tell you about Kyle's team, honestly, because I did a draft for somebody in WRF because they had something come up.
Oh, is that your team in second last overall? Because that would make sense.
No, it's not. The team I drafted is in 10th currently.
Wait, 10th in the league or 10th overall?
10th in the league.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So Kyle has got a fully. Actually, he's got one guy who is not in the majors in his roster.
Oh boy.
So that might need to be, though. Maybe that is a matter of he just missed a fab. Oh, he has nobody he can put in for him. That's the problem.
Who is it?
Maikel Toglia, or Tolia.
Kyle Bland has that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he could have put Spencer Steer in though.
Okay.
Right? So Steer's got first base.
So he's not active.
No, he is though, because he's got Roman Anthony in his lineup, and Roman Anthony was just called up today. So he just made him. Oh, and he's got Gavin Sheets in his lineup. So I don't know what's going on there. That's weird. Kyle, get it together. I love you, Kyle. Oh wait, no, that's not even. I wasn't even looking at Kyle's team. That's Sam Wershing's team. Sam, get it together.
Oh man, okay, that's not, come on, Sam.
All right, Kyle's team. Let's see. He's got Zebby Matthews. He must have missed that one. But everybody else is active in his roster. So
okay.
But yeah, clearly not taking it seriously enough, because there are guys in his lineup where I'm going, these guys shouldn't be in your lineup.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like in these industry adjacent leagues, or industry leagues, if these are public facing, this is your name attached to it. And I think part of, and one of the things that I'm hoping to change as being a part of the Tout Wars board now, is keeping a spotlight on these leagues throughout the year. Because I think what happens is in the industry is people get really pumped for draft season. They know there are going to be a lot of eyes on these drafts, like Tout Wars, like TGFBI. And then nobody really pays attention to what's going on in the league, except for at the end of the season when winners are announced. Like, you know,
Right.
people get to put that, you know, quote unquote trophy, you know, on their shelf. Not that there is an actual trophy though. In Tout Wars, there may be actual trophies here soon. But like nobody really cares. Like, oh, how did people do in these leagues? And people do treat it like, hey, if I'm not going to win, then I don't really care. And I want to change that. I want people to be held accountable for the effort they put in. You're not going to have a good year every year. There are going to be leagues this year where I don't cash.
Speak for yourself. I am never okay with a bad year. I haven't.
I'm not saying I'm okay with it. I'm just saying it. You know, there are going to be down years. We all have down years, right? We all have leagues we don't cash in. Like that's, you know. And honestly, I care more about the bad years than I do about the good years because I learned so much more. I think my bad year in 2023 was a massive learning opportunity for me, right? Like I went back and I reevaluated everything that I did. And I learned a ton, and I think it made me a much better player. 2022. I think it made me a much better player in 2023 and 2024, where I was very profitable both of those years.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't like when people go, oh, I'm just going to check out. Like hey, like, oh, it's not important or whatever. Like, you know, I'll have a better year next year. No, like, you know, you need to be accountable, especially if you're in the industry, right? Like if you're a random Joe Schmo, like, you know, like, I'm trying to think of someone in my league, you know, who's not in the industry. Like we have a guy in my league named Angry Mike. He's been in my league, by the Barf League, since the, you know, first year of Barf. He's not in the industry. He's just a dude who joined the league because we need another player, and he's kept playing every year. Like, okay, like if you like have a bad year, no one cares. But like if you're me, if you're you, like you had a bad year, you need to own up to it. You need to own up to what your mistakes were. But if your bad year was because you stopped paying attention or you didn't put in the work, then you shouldn't be getting in front of a mic or getting in front of an article, you know, get in front of a computer and spouting off your ideas because effort's your problem. Not saying effort's your problem, but you know what I mean.
But couldn't those people just say, well, I had a bad year in Barf, but I did well in the main event or, you know, turf or, you know, labor, tout, whatever. Like you said, if you're not going to be good in every league, does it really matter if you're bad in one individual league?
I don't think I think the guys that do both, right? There's a Venn diagram of industry people in one circle and high stakes people in another circle, but there's a really big group of people who play both. And I think the ones who are successful in industry leagues and also play the NFBC are usually successful in NFBC too, right? Like, you know, for Vlad Sedler, successful in both. Jeff Zimmerman, successful in both. You know, Rob Silver and Rob DiPietro don't play industry leagues anymore, but when they did, they were successful in both, right? Jeff Zimmerman has been successful in both. Like Scott Jensen has been successful in both. Like Tanner Bell, successful in both. I think the people who take industry leagues seriously, but also play the NFBC are successful in both because they're trying, because they're putting forth effort. Like I don't see people, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure there are examples of people who are like, oh, I'm just gonna dog it in my industry leagues, but I'm gonna try really hard in NFBC. I think for the vast majority of people who are playing both and are successful in both for a reason.
All right. I don't know. I think having some stakes, it doesn't even have to be high stakes. It doesn't even have to be like $1,000, but something like $100. Having some stakes, I just think keeps people honest. And even if it's like, you know, if you have a 15-team league, there's $1,500 in prizes or whatever, minus trophies or anything else. You know, let's say you can win $700 to $800 or whatever for winning your league. I think that moves the needle for some people. I think there's very few people who aren't motivated to some degree by several $100s, you know? I just think it keeps people honest. I get that you're saying that they should care about their name value and doing well in all the leagues that they do. I just don't think everybody has your mentality. And
I don't think you're wrong in that regard, right?
And I just look at the results, man. I look at, and it's free leagues just breed inactivity, and I don't want that for Earth. And I just think you need to have some stakes.
I mean, I don't think you're necessarily wrong. I just think that I think that the people who are not paying attention, the people who are those bottom feeder type of people, they're just never going to play stakes, which is fine. But that's, a decision for that league, whether or not they want to have people who are going to be like that and always weighing them down. And then it's a decision for the group of leagues to decide whether or not that league should be coming back every year. And that might be a bit different discussion,
I mean, yeah, I try to have that talk with JT in the off season, and I was like, hey, I really would like you guys to have something on the line here, because let's look at the results from the last several years. You guys are consistently at the bottom. Why do you think that is? I don't think it's a coincidence that everybody else has money that they're playing for and you guys are not. So, like, I want it. It's not about playing for money. It's about having everybody committed, because one of the tenets of Earth is staying active and competitive. And if you're not going to follow that, then yeah, maybe we should have a discussion about whether you should be in Earth or not.
Sure. All right. That's going to wrap us up for this episode.
All right.
We've gone 3+ hours. So
we had a lot to catch up on.
I may break this up into 2 episodes.
Okay.
We'll see. Dave, want everybody can reach on social media and plug anything you got going on. I know you got nothing going on, but
you always ask me this question every fucking time.
You've now got this podcast going on.
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah. Wow, Eric's still here, by the way. I thought everybody had left.
No, I've still got like 15 people watching.
Holy shit! Nobody's answered anything or said anything in the last 20 minutes.
We've been ranting. That's why.
That's true. Yeah, that's fair. People probably skip this part, but you can find me on Twitter at RunDMCD. Add that D. And I'm just working on making that money in my big leagues this year, and getting Glarf back on track, however the fuck I can. Yeah, Justin, it's been great to be back with you. I hope we can continue to do this. Thanks, guys, so much for staying on with us. I know it's 2:20 a.m. here, so at the earliest it's like 10 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. somewhere. But yeah,
it's 11:20 here. So
okay. All right.
Unless you're in Hawaii, where it's 8:20.
We might have some Hawaiian viewers. You don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. But you can reach me on social media at FWFB. Read all my work on Fangraphs and Fantasy Pros, where I'm writing multiple times a week. I'm also doing Sleeper in the Bus podcast multiple times a week. That will wrap us up for this episode. For Dave and myself, thank you for listening. Have a fantastic baseball season.